Thinking about self-publishing and don't know where to start? Join the Spa Girls each week for 30 minutes of honest advice, tips and resources. I'm Trudy J and I'm here with Shah Barrett.
Hello.
Cheryl Phipps.
Hi there.
And we don't have the lovely Wendy today, but in her place, we have Janie Crouch. Yay!
Hi, Janie.
Hi. So we are going to talk to Janie about launching a romance series, which is an amazing topic. Can't wait. But first of all, I'm going to do your bio. So
Okay.
We'll go through that and then we will get onto the topic.
All righty.
Yay. USA Today Best-selling author Janie Crouch writes what she loves to read, passionate romantic suspense. She is a winner and/or finalist of multiple romance literary awards, including the Golden Quill Award for Best Romantic Suspense, the National Reader's Choice Award, and the coveted Rita Award by the Romance Writers of America. When she's not listening to the voices in her head, and even when she is, she enjoys engaging in all sorts of crazy adventures, such as 200-mile relay races, Ironman triathlons, trek to the Mount Everest base camp. I'm feeling tired just reading this.
Everybody's faces.
And traveling and movies of all kind. Her doctoral dissertation focused on how people formed and maintained relationships with sci-fi fantasy characters. In her academic writing, she was often told that she needed to dial down on the drama. I love that. She's glad to be finally writing something where no one tells her that anymore.
Yay!
Yay.
Welcome.
That is an
Thank
awesome bio. Can I just
Yes.
say? Feeling
Yep.
very under-accomplished over here.
Yeah,
Oh my
absolutely.
goodness. I didn't even know all that was in public.
Well, I got
We're
it
out
off your
there.
website.
I know. I better go look at my website.
Yeah, we've established that Janie is a superstar.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so
Yeah.
now we need to listen to, hang on every word you say as we talk
Oh my
about
goodness.
your latest series. So how about we start with a little bit of your background and how you got into writing and then how you got into self-publishing. So
Okay.
at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Well, in 2014, I actually started with Harlequin Intrigue. I won a contest for them where editors were offering to read a page. And I sent a page and they liked that. And they said, send a chapter, and they liked that. And then they eventually bought that book. So that was great. And I published multiple books for them. And then in 2017, I think it was mostly because I was able to write faster than they were able to publish my books. I decided I was going to self-publish a couple of books that they said that they didn't really fit for their brand, even though it was a spinoff of a book that they had, the original book I had published through them. So I self-published those two books, and I just made what I look back now and felt like was a lot of mistakes. And so that was in 2017. Actually, Amazon Publishing bought those books, so now they own them. So I have one series that's owned by two different publishers. So that's always interesting when people are like, why are two of them in KU and one of them is not? I'm like, I don't have any control over any of that. And so in 2018, I decided I am going to self-publish a series, a romantic suspense series, and I am going to attempt from the beginning to have it very planned and very strategic, and everything that I do full on from the beginning to see if I can make it successful. And that was actually, I was looking it up today. That was 2.5 years ago today that the first one went out. Yeah, so I'm very excited.
Yeah.
And I looked up, I have grossed with this series over $850,000.
Wow.
Nice.
For this. So, and there's been so far 12 books that have come out in the series in that 2.5 years. So it has worked.
That's pretty
Yay.
good. That's pretty good because along with that, you're still writing the others for Harlequin, right?
I am still writing,
Wow.
not as quickly as Harlequin would like. I owe them books and so I'm working on it. They're like, come on. So I'm working on that. So yes, so that is kind of how I moved from, so I'm a hybrid author, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what made you get into romantic suspense? What was it about that?
I have never written anything but romantic suspense. So for me, I love that there can be outside factors that are driving the hero and heroine together, that they are fighting together rather than fighting or conflict with each other. There's still, of course, internal conflict in all my books, but I love that, you know, if things are not going right in my book, I can just blow up a building and shift everything. See, so you get a lot of leeway with romantic suspense. You know, it still has to make sense, but I've always loved the combination of action and romance. So, and I would say that my books are primarily romance. They are relationship focused with some action or danger elements. They are not like, you know, there are some romantic suspense that are heavy on the mystery, and that's not really what mine are. So,
So you've got 4 children, and I don't know how you get time to write. So do you have any, just quickly, I mean, were you writing in the evenings when they were younger, or is it?
Yeah, so I actually, and you know, this is a tip for anybody who's out there and they're like, oh, it's too late for me to start. I'm too old to start. I did not start writing until I was 40. I was actually 41 when my first book was published. So I want to just encourage everybody that never too late to start, never ever. As a matter of fact, you might be better because of it, because you're looking at the world from a different perspective when you're in your 40s than you are when you're in your 20s. Not that 20-year-olds can't write wonderful books too, but I just, you know, it's never too late to start. My kids are all teenagers now. That's an entirely different set of problems than toddlers. So, you know, I just sometimes have to lock them in their rooms and write rather than keep them entertained. Right? But you know, you do what you have to do. And, you know, writing has enabled me to always be home when they needed me. So that has been probably the most wonderful aspect of this career, is that I've never had to miss a soccer game or driving them to work or whatever it is. I've always been able to be that. So that's good. But yeah, the drama with teenagers, it never ends. Never ends.
Hey,
well, that's kind
boys?
of like your first job, isn't it?
It is. Oh yeah. Oh,
Are they girls
always.
or boys? Like, I'm just curious.
2 girls, 2 boys.
Well done.
Yeah.
Double of each. As they say.
Oh yeah. Actually, 2 of our children are Asian. They were adopted when they were toddlers. So so, you know, I don't even see it, you know, anything about it, but I forget that our family sometimes is kind of conspicuous to other people, but we have a good family dynamic. So it's been good. Yeah.
That's great.
And your kids, you're oblivious to all of that, aren't
That's
you?
right. I'm oblivious. I'm
How
like,
other people
and they're
think
like,
of
you
you.
know, that one. I'm like, which one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Awesome. So if we talk a little bit, so if we start about, so it was in 2019 that you started, that you published it. When did you start thinking about this new series that you wanted to be?
Okay, so it was actually 2018. So all right, so in 2017 I self-published these 2 books, and then so the second one came out, and then all of a sudden I was like, there's nowhere else for readers to go. I mean, they could go read my Harlequin books, and that's an entirely different topic about whether, you know, Harlequin readers read indie books and whatnot, back and forth. But there was nowhere for them to go. I realized that I had not planned well. I had written 2 books, and then it's like, well, now I have to stop and write more, and it's going to be another 6 months before another book is out. So then I said, okay, I'm going to plan a series. So I planned a 6-book series. And my plan was for the first 3 books to come out in rapid succession. So a month apart. So September, October, and then the very beginning of December. And then my plan was to then keep writing while those books released, buying myself more time to release every 3 months, 2 to 3 months after that, so that I didn't fall off the Amazon cliff, as we all know is a real thing. So that was my plan. And I can't even remember what the original question was, Trudy.
No, when it was starting. So you decide. So let's talk about that. Like, so you said, okay, so these are the things I know to be true.
Yes.
First 3
All right.
books in rapid succession. What else did you know before that you started that you planned to do?
Okay, the things, so I had 6 planned, just so we're clear, that has now turned into a 14 book series. So,
Wow.
best laid plans, right?
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted all the books to be very similar in length. So it just happened to work out that they were all around 70,000. Now that has not stayed completely true. They've gone up to 95,000. They've gone down to 60,000, but around that amount. More, I wanted to make sure that the heat level was very consistent. That it wasn't that it was just the same in each book. So that consistency was just key for me. I wanted to be consistent in everything that I was giving. I wish that I could show a picture of the covers, because you can look at the covers of the Linear Tactical series. They're very, very consistent in terms of how they look and showing what the reader is going to get from that.
They are awesome. They're beautiful covers. We were talking about that
Thank you.
before.
They're very colorful. I love them.
Yeah.
So the heat level and the danger level, I tried to be very consistent with that too. Nobody is ever going to be shocked in my books. They are never going to be like, oh, I can't believe, somebody was violently killed, because that isn't just not what there's nothing wrong with that. Certainly nothing wrong with that. But I just wanted my readers to know what they were going to get from the beginning.
Meeting their expectations of one of Janie Crouch's books.
That's right. Yeah. And I believe that's what branding is, that I have branded myself around the concept of heroes, believe in heroes, for readers who still believe in heroes. And that's what my heroes are all protective. I'm never going to write bully romance, because that would be very outside of what my branding is. So that's what I do. With blurbs, I also try to step back from the traditional romantic suspense blurb, which tends to be big paragraph. And I tried to make it a little bit more contemporary with shorter paragraphs that were more just easier to read, just when you look at them from the beginning, just, a line and then a paragraph and then a couple, that changes up for the readers to make it easier. So those were the things that I tried to do from the beginning. And then, of course, I started advertising very heavily from the beginning. I don't know how much you want to go into.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever you want to tell us. Yeah, people love to know these things.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm more than willing to share. I started, so my husband and I sat down and we took out a interest-free credit card for 6 months because we knew what was going to happen was, the Facebook and the AMS ad bill is due before you get paid from Amazon 2 months later. So we wanted to make sure that we knew that, and I wanted to make sure he was on board with everything that we were doing. And so I started spending at a rate of between $50 and $100 a day from the beginning of book 1. Now, I was very fortunate because my books, I could see I was still making a profit. Even from the very beginning, even though the money wasn't there, right? It didn't get paid till 2 months later. I could still see that the money was going to come in. But I believe that the going big was a big part of this series' success. Yeah. I did Instagram tours. I did blog tours. My motto was, this may fail, but it wasn't going to be because I didn't try everything. And so I think that helped. I think we have, especially now, gone are the days where you can just set a book 1 to free and expect your series to take off. It's not going to happen. Sadly. Usually it does. Sometimes there's more than one way to be successful, but.
So had you done Amazon ads before that, or was it Amazon
ads?
No,
Amazon ads. We got a love-hate relationship. I'm sure as does everybody. Primarily my spend is in Facebook ads.
And had you done them before, or did you just learn as you went?
No, I had done them to a degree. I had practiced. I knew that I'm not, again, not sure exactly what, you just stop me if you want me to stop. Okay.
Yeah, you go.
So I know
Feel
that
free.
for me, book covers, not shaped like a book cover, it's a square, but my book covers actually convert the best. They do not get the best cost per click, but they do sell the most books, because I think it's sometimes there's a disconnect when readers see an image and then go to the Amazon page and the book is an entirely different image, and that disconnect causes them maybe not to buy. So that is what has worked best for me from the beginning.
That's good. Good to
And
know.
you, when you're doing your Facebook ads, are your books full price?
Yes.
Mhm. So
Okay, so I release my books wide and then put them into KU. They go into KU sometime between 10 days and 90 days after they come out. So I have worked very hard to, for lack of a better term, train my readers to pre-order if they buy normally on a different vendor than Amazon.
Right.
That way they know it's going to be available while it's pre-order. After that, we're not sure. I also try to entice people to pre-order or to buy the first week by offering bonus material right there in the book if they buy it, if they pre-order or buy the first week. After that, then it's a link to like BookFunnel and they can download it. So it's still available for free after that, but if they want it, so it's just a matter of changing the file out once it's in Amazon. That has worked very well for me to kind of entice readers.
Okay.
So are you still doing it that way, Janie? So the 10 days, the initial 2-week release wide, and then bringing it back down to Amazon exclusive. Are you still doing that?
Yes. So I have some of my books I left wide for almost 3 months, because what I find it actually is that Amazon cannibalizes its own sales.
Yeah.
It's not the sales that I lose on other vendors. It's I don't know. I don't even know why that happens, but it does happen. My Amazon sales, the day I put a book into KU, the sales drop in half. Now the KU money makes up for that, but it does do that. And right now, for the last few months, I've been at a place where I'm close to getting a KU bonus each month. So it has been in my best interest to put them into KU quickly.
Right.
So going back to that very first book, did you, I know you did them in short succession, did you have a pre-order link in the back of the first one for book 2 in the series? Like when you were spending that money on those ads, you had a lot, riding on that first book.
Absolutely. Yes. And I saw pre-orders. I had 400 pre-orders for book 1 when it released.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, okay. So this is where I think having published for Harlequin, I did have a fan base. It was not a huge one, because I have seen my pre-orders now. My greatest pre-order has been at 6,000. So, 400 was, but 400, and then for book 2, by the time it released a month later, there was 800 pre-orders.
Nice.
And then book 3 had 1,200. And I know that was very nice of them to stair step for me so I can remember those numbers. But so that was, yes. And actually the reason I was releasing every 3 months was because at the time at Amazon, that was the longest pre-order you could have. So I had to, in order to put it in the back of the book, I had to have the pre-order link up. So yes. So there was read through from the beginning.
Yeah. And then you're giving them exactly the same, you're not suddenly giving them a completely different type of story the next time around. You're making sure.
Yeah. Well, too, it's a small town. It's former military romantic suspense, and they all work for this same, not all, they don't all, but they either live in the town or work for Linear Tactical. And so you can tell right away who is going to be the next the next couple based on what you're reading right now. Who is over fighting a little bit right here, or who has been kidnapped, and the next couple is this based on what's in the current book. So, and I never tried to introduce all of the characters in book one, because I think that's overwhelming. I try to stick to just one or two besides the main characters, including one or two more characters, so their books are coming.
Yeah.
So you've got that community, so that's kind of
Yes,
that's the
so
world
important.
around where everybody kind of revolves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome.
So you release it full price too, which is interesting. So was that a decision you made in the beginning too? How did that work?
Yeah. So I had, when I first started, my books were $3.99. They were $3.99 through book 6, and then for book 7, I bumped every single one of them up to $4.99, and never heard any negative, never saw any drop in sales. All I did was make myself more money by doing that. I did for a while, about 1 year after the first book released, I got a BookBub for it, a free BookBub, but for wide. So I made book 1 wide and perma-free, and used a BookBub to launch sort of that method of marketing, I guess, the perma-free book 1. And that worked. I gave away literally 100,000 copies of the first book. So, and it's still my best, has made the most, it's the oldest, so it has still made the most money, even with giving all those away. So that worked for me for about 9 months. I kept it perma-free, and then I was finding that it was not doing as well. I put it back into full price, and, and have kept all the books at the same price.
So did you have it in a wide, and then the other books in the series were all in KU?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Did
I did get people who were like, where are the rest of the books? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I wasn't mean. I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm happy to, please download the Amazon app and
and
read it. So I mean, it's frustrating. I'm not KU is paying for all of my kids to go to college.
Yeah.
And their kids to go to college. So, I can't say anything bad about KU, but it's frustrating. I do understand.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. No, that wasn't a criticism. I was just curious how people would did you get a lot of pushback or not much? Or?
I did. Well, at the time I only had five books out. So it wasn't as quite as, I would not try to do that now. I would be harming myself more to try. Now I do apply for BookBubs all the time, but only with keeping the books in KU.
Yeah.
So
are you getting them as well, Janie, with the books in KU?
I've gotten 3 BookBubs with the linear tactical books, but only one has been with it just being in KU. Right. So no. So now. It's
really tough in contemporary romance to get a BookBub with KU. Man, it's hard.
So I've been trying different things. I've been trying like erotic romance to see if they would try. No. So everybody, and rightfully so, everybody should be applying for BookBubs, but I think it's particularly saturated right now with people requesting BookBubs.
Yeah.
So you talked about something that I want to go back to. So when you talked about I'm going to go big. So you went big on the advertising. You did an Instagram, what did you call it? Instagram tour.
I did a whole Bookstagram tour where we did contests where people could submit their own Bookstagram with the cover, and then people voted, and then they won. I had to, I offered a pretty big prize. I'm not sure that any of this actually sold books, but I do think it I think it got the books out there. I remember authors that I met, they're like, oh yeah, I saw your books everywhere. And then I was like, well, I'm doing my job, you know, I mean, because that's all I can do is to just get it out there.
Yeah.
And so,
and so what else did you do?
Let me see. I wrote it down. You know, I wrote it down.
I like it when people are organized and write it down.
That's right. Oh wait, hang on.
That while all this was going on, Janie was still writing and
and also with 4 children and
doing everything else.
Who were younger.
Like I can duct tape my kids so they can't. So you know that's not a. Look, I will say this. Looking back on it, if I was doing it again right now, I would have waited until I had 5 books written. Here's the thing. If I feel very strongly about this, you want to capitalize on the momentum. If you're only releasing books every 6 months or every 4 months, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because I can write 4 books a year. That's it. That's all I can write. So if I had, you know, them on the side ready to go, that buys me time to continuously build on the momentum that I already have. So that is what I was trying to do. I wish I had waited till I had 5 books and then released, but I got all excited and then just
it is hard. It is hard to sit on.
It is, and it's hard. And I mean, if you got to pay the bills, you got to pay the bills. So I mean, you know, I'm not saying sit on 5 books and starve. I'm just saying if you happen to, if you can, then that's what. So, $100 a day on ads. I talked about the credit card. So we did blog tour. I did every single takeover that I could do. I'm not even kidding. I mean, if it was an author that had 24 people in their reader group, I went in there and said, here are my books. So it was labor intensive. I'm not even going to lie to you. For a year, I did nothing but work this, you know, I mean, I set it all up and then release month after month after month. And so, you know, it was a commitment, but my goal was to make money. And I didn't, you know, it wasn't about writing what the muse wanted or the book of my heart or, you know, not that there's not a place for that, but for what I was trying to do, this was not the place for that. So that's how it worked for me. I'm trying to think.
I like that. You made the plan and then
I think it's important to know what you want from it. You know.
It is, because there's nothing wrong with writing in different genres. I mean, for real, I would never, because I have a high, so you know how I did like all the triathlons and the marathons and stuff. I have a high tolerance for just stupidity, obviously. You know?
Love it.
but for mental focus. I know what my goal is, and so it worked very well for me. But I treated this as a business from the beginning, and creativity took a back seat to that. So like there were a couple books I had to rewrite because they were not going to fit the way this series was going. And so maybe I'll use them for something else, but it just did not work at this time. So, and I asked any author friends for quotes, and I did newsletter swaps and all the things that, one thing I would say, one word of advice I would give anybody is that just because someone says it's not working, you need to take that with a grain of salt. Like, for example, if Skye Warren says newsletter swaps don't work for me, I'm sure that's true. I'm sure newsletter swaps, she's at a level where newsletter swaps are not going to gain her much. But for us, for me, down here at this level, newsletter swap. So just because somebody is saying it doesn't work for them, like takeovers, people are like, readers, they just, you know, freebie. Well, find a way to interact with them. My thinking was, if I could get one person to remember that I said hello to them and I was personable, then maybe that person gives me a try, not this week, but maybe at some point. And so, you know, just because it's not working for one person doesn't mean that it doesn't work. Just means not for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good advice, I think.
I
That's-
agree. I think that's the thing with promotion and advertising too. I think and understandably so, when you're spending that $100 a day on your credit card, you want to see return on investment.
You
But
have
it
to.
doesn't always work like that.
Mm.
And in most businesses, it doesn't work like that,
No,
especially
that's
at the start. So, you know,
Yes,
I think
yes.
we're in a little bit of verified air here in terms of authorship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very blessed and look, you guys know this. There's always a little bit of luck that's, you're at the right place at the right time, and it kind of works for you.
I agree with that, Janie, but you put in the hard work to get to that right place.
Well, that is
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That is
Like
true.
the
You
starting
can't
line
just.
for the marathon, we might be driving past it and say, hey, look, there's the marathon starting line, but you're the one that got up and put your shoes on and worked really hard to get there. So.
No, well, thank you. And yeah, and you're right. You're right. It doesn't just happen. You're right.
No.
Yeah. There are unicorns, but
Yes.
But I
yeah.
think once it's out there, then I think things can work in your favor that are outside your like it could be a TV series that suddenly come out with the same,
yeah, sort of feel.
or or another huge book that's got a similar, that kind of thing. So those things I think can be fortuitous timing that you can't control. But man, credit to you, you worked jolly hard.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Was there a reason why you decided that you wanted to do it this way? Like that you just decided I need the money at the risk of sounding crass?
No, and I'm a crass person. That does not offend
I mean, I'm all about the money. I'm not. I just don't like to
that
assume.
really was that was my bottom line. My bottom line was, if I was not making money, then I needed to go back. I taught college before this. Then I needed to go back and do that, because this is a job. I wanted to make as much money as I could. Now, I don't mean but I wanted to be efficient enough that I was, making money. And my husband and I eventually sat down and we were like, okay, you're working these insane hours. How much per day do you need to make in order for it to justify how many hours a year you're working? Like and for us, it was $300 a day, which would put me at just over six figures for a year. And, because if I was doing that, then that justified the late nights and the early mornings, and that was okay. Is that, and everybody has to decide if that's for them. I certainly understand if they're like, well, what if I only want to work 15 hours a week? Fine. Yeah. Great. Yeah. I mean, hour for hour, you might be making more than me based on how much I was working. So
I think that's such a great take on it. And it's actually one that we haven't really heard of. People, well, not that it's been spoken like that, but I think that's such a good way of analyzing it. I think that's so important.
Yeah. That's awesome. We love you.
Thank you. Can I ask? Oh, sorry.
You go. Sure.
Just with the progression of the books, when you're launching, do you launch in the same way that you did them, with doing all of these things?
No, that's an excellent question. Yes. Okay. No, I don't. Okay. So I will just say this. I'm hoping this isn't going to have to be edited out.
No chance.
Okay. All right. No chance. Okay. So back in October, I took a book that was a side character, not one of the main linear tactical characters, and I wrote in another romantic suspense author's world. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
The old Kindle worlds.
Yeah.
Yes, the old Kindle worlds. And look, I'm happy if anybody wants to message me after. I don't want to say anything live in case I don't know, but I'm more than happy to talk about this. So that all her readers came in. This was book 10 of the linear tactical series. All of her readers came in and then read all the back of the linear tactical series, and I got sticky on Amazon. Do you everybody know what I mean? So my income quadrupled in a month.
Wow.
It was crazy. And part of it was because all of her readers came in and found me. And it was part of it was because I already had 10 books. Everybody could go back. And then I had 4 books that were coming out every other month after. It was a perfect storm. It was a wonderful, wonderful, perfect storm. But that was, that has really helped in the last 6 months, just me to take off. Now, I don't know that that is true for everyone who writes in every type of world, but I found for me, it was, no.
Cheryl's shaking her head.
Some of us have had experience.
Let me help you. Okay. This author has a huge following, and my books were already in Kindle Unlimited, and she, you know, her readers are Kindle. Also, I think a lot because of the COVID stuff, I think people are reading a lot more with Kindle Unlimited. So that has really picked up for me. So that has been a huge, it has propelled me. But then, like, for my last 2 releases in January and then last week, they both hit USA Today. Yeah. So that was very exciting. So just want to encourage everybody that consistency and following the rules can get you to
but also trying something a little different as well.
Yeah, that's
in the way of advertising or promotions.
Yes. So you were asking, what do I do now? I still do a lot of takeovers. I'm looking at my calendar. That's why. That is what is over there. I did something that has really helped me this year. I contacted some different authors to do a round robin newsletter. Help me out. Y'all know where each month, like, author A provides author B's book to her readers.
Right.
Author B provides author C's book to her readers. So everybody, all the different readers are getting a different free book each month.
Yeah.
And hopefully it leads into sales from there. So I went to, I asked the biggest name authors that I know. And I was terrified. I mean, I was super scared, talking to Carly Phillips and Sky Warren, be like, will you please, you don't know me, but can you do this? And a lot of them said yes. A lot of my pitch was, we're different. We are different subgenres, but maybe, readers who like good books will like good books. So there's romantic comedy, there's mafia, there's all sorts of stuff in this. Yeah. So it's a mess, but so far so good.
A hot mess.
It's a hot mess. It really is. But I think that so far it's been,
And romance readers are huge readers, and they do read widely. It's not just, they don't just read romantic suspense usually, or they don't.
Right. And I shouldn't say, I didn't ask any, like, fantasy authors. I don't have that sort of reach, but because so this is all within the romance. All right. Yes. Yeah. So that sort of promoting the entire series is the sort of stuff I'm doing more of now. I am just blessed that even with pre-orders, I'm able to get to a level where I know I'm okay. I know that when this book releases, I'm okay.
Even if I did nothing else, it would be fine.
It's okay. But I'm also spending so once I propelled with getting sticky with Amazon, I started spending about $500 a day in ads to keep it going, and it has worked. So it's painful to watch. I get a bill from Amazon for $900 every day and a half. So that's hard, but I mean, I'm seeing the money come in, so I don't worry about it, but it's So
you're getting a bill from Amazon, so you're doing Amazon ads, or you're getting
I'm sorry, Facebook.
Facebook.
I get Amazon.
Good pickup, because
teach me your ways.
I wish. Teach me. Somebody teach me. I'll say this too. I have somebody who helps me with Facebook ads. I know that there's a general consensus about nobody knows your stuff better than you to do Facebook ad. Well, that's true. I agree that that's true. But also, people who know Facebook ads, like, I would never try to design my own covers because I don't know how to cover design. So I felt like having
the right one.
I want to. So you have to be careful about that. So I have people that I can ask questions that I pay to be able to ask questions about whether I am making good decisions.
And I also just want to kind of probably beat a dead horse here, but I do see a lot of like beginner authors with maybe 1 or 2 books saying, you know, I hate marketing, I just want to pay somebody to do it. And that's where I think the advice is, no, learn it yourself, because I think it sets you up to lose a lot of money or to be really disappointed. And you've got the experience, you know how to do it yourself. You know, you've got the levers, which levers should be working.
Yes, it is true. I want to.
Experience. So you're at a point where you can, you know, do that.
I want to agree with you on that. Yes, as when I did it myself, you know, at the beginning. Even then I asked questions, but yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, but don't ask me questions about, because I'm really not, I would still not call myself an expert. So about ads.
But I think what you have is velocity, and I think that helps a lot too. So Facebook now, well, the algorithms, if you like, you know, the mysterious algorithms, no, when you're sending that ad out, they'll know that those are the people that are clicking. You know what I mean? It's success begets success a lot of times.
Yeah.
So just getting to that point. But $500 a day, that's an eye-watering amount too.
It's a lot. And I spend about between $50 and $75 a day on AMS ads.
Okay.
And AMS ads, I find that everybody knows this. When they're doing well, they just,
I know.
and then they stop. And it's like, what?
They're like, why? What
happened? What happened?
The point where the little graph is looking really, really nice, and the orange line is looking beautiful. And then I'm scared to look the next day because I know it's not going to be there. So then I avoid looking. How's that?
Yes. You know, I try to look at a 30-day view. Otherwise, I'm like, I'm turning this shit off. You know, because it's like,
I'm going to high five you right now because that's me to a T.
You know, that ACOS is like 800%. You're like, oh my gosh, you know, kill yourself. It's terrible. So yeah, I understand. Yeah.
The joys of AMS. Yeah. I had one just recently. There's something over 1,000%. It was like,
it happens.
You got to do your numbers though, because I mean, I know a lot of people that are happy to leave it at 400 to 500% ACOS because they've got the volume of books. So you've got to know your numbers. Again, it's the old story. Know your numbers before you do it. It's helpful.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's change topic completely. And we're off that. So you've got a newsletter.
Yes.
Set up. Now you said somewhere that you set it up before you started launching the series. Did you set it up specifically for the series or with the?
No, I didn't. So I'm trying to think of exactly how I I set it up. I've done everything. I will say this. Okay, in my books, I have three back matter, front matter. I have it set up because I'm trying to see which is getting me the most people into my newsletter. So I have one that is at the very, very beginning, like before even the title page. I get the least amount of clicks on that because I think people buying in Amazon, it doesn't show them that. No. And then it actually says book blurb or intro to book, and it has the book blurb. And then at the end of the blurb, it says, do you want a free book? Whatever I say in there. And then of course I have it at the very end. I'm very careful in my back matter. Of course, everybody knows no chapter break, right? At the end of your back matter, you don't even say the end, you finish the sentence. And then the next sentence is, thank you for reading this book. The linear tactical series continues with this book, next book. And then, subscribe to the newsletter. Sometimes I don't even put the subscribe to the newsletter, because I only want them to buy that next book. That's my focus. Buy the next book. I do sometimes have I have two books in particular where it takes them to a book funnel link. One I had some chapters that that didn't fit into the book itself. And if they want those bonus chapters, they can sign up for the newsletter and read the bonus chapters. And then I had one completely separate epilogue and so those are the two places that I try to get people into my newsletter. So that has been working for me with the newsletter round robin swap. I've gotten new subscribers there. I try to be very active in my reader group on Facebook. That's where my peoples are and where I hang out, and I try to encourage people to do that. So it has grown. I don't have a huge newsletter list. I think I have about 13,000 now. But I see that it's growing by a couple of hundred each month. And so as long as that is happening, that's good for me.
Nice organic growth. So that
yes,
interested in you. It's not through anything else. It's through your
Now,
work.
that is not to say that I have not done those. When I had like 75 people, I did the do the newsletter. Yeah, do those. I so what if you get even if half of the people are just the freebie chasers, at least you're getting half that might give you a try.
I always sort of went on the principle of trying to get maybe 25 to 30% stick around. You're doing
there you go.
Be prepared to let them go.
Yep, let them go. Oh, well, that's something I had to realize, that not to take it personally when people unsubscribe. Those are just people that you don't want. That's fine. That's okay.
Especially when you've just done one and you get that first newsletter out and it's like a huge drop off on that first one. You're like,
so painful. It's hard to not take that person.
You don't want them on your list if they're not excited to be here.
That's right.
It's fine that they're yeah, exactly. Got to find the right people. Okay, so and how often do you send your newsletter out, and what kind of content are you putting in?
I send out twice a month. Right now it's the one freebie, here are from my author buddies. Here's a freebie from my author buddies. And those have been pretty successful. And because I'm releasing every other month for this year, usually I'm talking about the upcoming book. So I'm unique in that it's tricky for me. I'm not sure where to direct readers. I do have a backlist. I mean, I have nearly 25 books with Harlequin, but it doesn't behoove me to send them there too much but if they've already read all the linear tactical books, I mean, it's better to make whatever I make from Harlequin than nothing. So I do a backlist push, during my off months.
Okay, well, that's cool. And let's talk about this reader group of which you have told. Is that something that you had before you set up the series? You've been going for a while?
Yeah, that's I should have looked at when I've really become most active in it in the last year. It has grown exponentially in the last year, up from 500 people. It's still not huge. I think have about 2,000. But I try to post. I post in there organically. I try to post daily. We talk, we chat. That's where I post stuff about my family or, because these are people. I also have my page. I use like an auto, I have stuff that Evergreen posts, what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I have stuff that I set up and it recycles through that. So I have like, let's say 75 book promo posts to go out once a week. So it's a year and a half before they see it again, but I can set it and then forget it. And I use something, Lord,
what
I can't
do
remember.
You use?
Smarter Q. And Smarter Q allows you to do that. It automatically puts it at the bottom of the queue, and all you have to do is build the queue. Of course, if you only have 5 posts, then it's going to recycle, after 5 posts. So you have to be careful.
That's not good.
That's not good. So I have like discussion questions. I'm not somebody, a lot of people use their page only for book stuff. I'm the one who's like, what kind of pie do you like? I figure, hey, if somebody stops there, maybe they'll stop there again when I post for books. So that, I have all sorts of stuff.
So you need to go, but it gets posted automatically, but you go in there and interact once they're telling you what kind of pie?
No, that's from my page, my author page.
Yeah.
For the reader group, yes. I try to go in there and respond. I do giveaways in there a lot. We do, book birthdays, like each book celebrating its birthdays.
I love that idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So, and it's like, have you read this book? And then I try to keep it half and half in terms of book, not like sell. Rarely does anything have a link in it. Like, here, go buy this book. But I do, that's where I I'm like, okay, St. Patrick's Day, here are my 2 green covers. Have you read either of these? And so that's the sort of interaction I do in there.
Yeah.
So that works well. I love them. They're my Crouch crew.
Crouch.
And you do all that yourself? You don't have admins?
No, I don't have. I do have an admin who does my page stuff, and she responds or likes, or thanks for because, and even better, she lets me know when someone is like, hey, somebody just said this book is supposed to be free, blah, blah, or whatever screw up I've done. She lets me know so that I can immediately, or if somebody's like, hey, how do I get on your art crew? A question that needs my response, she tells me so that I can, So
that's cool. And so let's talk about ARCs, and you mentioned them. So do you have a large ARC team, or are you?
So now I have about 150. I cheated. I cheated. I shouldn't say
we got it here, folks. She admitted it. She cheated.
So I used, this is not the part where, when I say the first part, that's not the cheating part. So I used a service that sends books to reviewers. And at the back of that, I didn't cheat on purpose. But anyway, I said, do you want to join my ARC team directly? Sign up here. And I got a lot of people who did that. And so that is how I built my team. I try to get as many reviews as early as possible. I do think that has a positive effect on buyer behavior. And so that has just been, I know some people don't do ARCs and they don't, and that's fine. And I understand that too, because you are giving away 150, 200 copies. But it has worked for me. I also encourage everybody to highlight in their Kindles. Everybody should do that. I was told by Amazon, I don't know, a KDP, a person, I don't know, my person. He said, anytime people highlight books, that goes into the algorithm. So that's what I do. I try to encourage people to make the little, now they have, the Kindle quotes, Kindle quotes. Yeah. I think anytime we can, as authors, encourage readers to do that, it shows Amazon that it's not just somebody zooming through your book. It's somebody who's reading it and interested in it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's good to know.
And they're also, and that reader then is also more likely from Amazon to get recommended your book.
Exactly.
So it kind of works both ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good tip.
That's an awesome tip.
I don't know if you want any more about my ARC team. We just try to, I don't know. Now my PA she runs that like, wow. She's not even playing.
There's your review.
Oh my God. Like, people have lives. And she's like, if they're going to take the book, then they have to write the review. And I'm like, okay, yes, ma'am. So that is not something I do. I don't have to be the heavy. I don't, I just am like, here's my book, yay. And then she's like, where's your review? So that is something I would encourage if you have somebody who can be that filter for you.
Yeah.
That definitely helps. We are going to go to a process where people have to ask for the ARC. And if they ask for the ARC, then they have to review it. I'm not have to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right now, we just send it out, but life does happen. If you don't want to read it or have time, we want to give people. I also always have it on a waiting list. And I think that gives an image of it being more valuable. Exclusivity.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just, a small tip for those that aren't at the point where they can afford a PA, you can always create yourself an email account, like, assistant@authorname.com, just saying quietly.
That is an excellent idea.
It makes a difference, I think, being a step away from the author. I think when you're dealing particularly with the reviewers, I just think it adds a level of protection from both sides, actually, because there's some reviewers, I manage an art team for another author, and there's some reviewers that have come back to me and they feel comfortable saying, look, this just didn't work for me, and that's fine. but
Yes.
I don't know if they would be that comfortable saying it directly to the author, and
That's such a good idea.
Yeah, I just, anyhow, just
Yeah.
it's not a particularly new idea, but it definitely helps to add that little layer of kind of just separation.
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. Thank you, Sha. Are there anything else about your art team that's special or exciting, other than that they're obviously amazing?
They are amazing. No, I don't.
How do you get them? How do you get them now, Janie? Do you just...
So now there's a form on my website and it does say that we're full and that we will contact them, if it opens back up. And I've been just blessed with people who have stuck with me. Now I will say this. Okay. So you know how I said all that stuff about being consistent and how everything with my book. Okay. So I'm starting the Zodiac Tactical series, which is basically, it's linear tactical book 14. I mean, it really is, except it's starting a new series. And the problem with having a 14 book series is that it's hard to have places where readers can come in. So with advertising, that proposes a problem. So with this new series, also planning it out, I'm having 3 4-book, it's Zodiac. So obviously there's 12. And then, okay. So I'm writing it instead of third person, I'm writing it in first person.
Oh,
Ooh, nice.
Ooh.
I am doing that as a deliberate shift to try to bring in new readers who I have, because the blurb is written in first person. I have gotten some readers who have said, "What are you doing?"
yeah.
Because they feel very passionately about it. And I say, look, you have trusted me with all these books. I want you to trust me one more time and just try it and see. So that is, I have a saved passage that I have to email because I've at least 20 times already. And that's not, a lot of readers just don't even pay attention to first person or third or past or present. But some do. So I am shifting, and I am moving away from, instead of having couples on my covers, I'm having a man, but not a man chest, because I'm a proponent. We would not put women with half their face cut off in their chest, and I'm not going to do it for men. So it's a man, a full man, and so we'll see. So I'll let you know in a year
how that goes.
if I made a huge mistake.
We'll lock you into
everything. Oh, okay. I will. And I might have to shift. I'm prepared to pivot. I'm prepared.
Oh, shift house. You're going to shift house to avoid us because you don't want to come back on the podcast.
No, I'm prepared to run. Change my name. Yeah. No, if I have to, if book 1 bombs and people are like, why did you change everything? Then then I'm going to pivot. You have to, but I'm going to try.
But until you try, you don't know, Janie.
You don't
and this
know.
Could lift you to a and like you say, there's potentially a whole nother audience out there that is just kind of sitting out there. Yeah.
That is my hope.
Yeah.
That is my hope.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure, I am not even hoping, I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Thank you. So
that's cool. So we are rolling up to the end of our time with you today.
Okay.
But have you got any kind of final tips that you'd just like to give to people who are considering doing something similar to this kind of a launch?
I would say, well, first of all, we all know that there is no one right way. There's no one right way to do this. So don't, if somebody is like overwhelmed by what I'm saying I did, then find your right way based on your personality, and that might be a slower, steadier build, and that's fine, and because ultimately you still get there. So I think that would be my biggest thing. For me, organization, it's in my DNA, that mama 4, right? You just, you don't get anything done if you're not organized. So for me, as long as I was organized, it was less about creativity and more about, staying in my lane, staying on track, having a plan ahead of time so that when I got a little like, oh my gosh, it's release week, don't freak it, stick to your plan and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, then you got another book coming out in 3 months and you shift and you try something different.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. That's
Wise
really
words.
advice.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, if someone wants to find you, where can they go to find Janie Crouch?
So I'm on Facebook. Definitely, that's a good place. If there are people, Trudy, I know I said I was going to say, I do have an author kind of group where I talk about my linear tactical books. I'm just a little bit more selective about, I don't just open it now to anybody. At one time it was just open to everybody and it was just crazy. So, if somebody is interested in that, they can email me, or if you Facebook friend me, then that's the best way, and just say, just
be nice and promise
the launch group. Yeah, I put a lot of my personal information and or personal financial information. So I don't just, but if somebody is like truly an author and trying to, I would have given anything to have actual data back when I was starting. Like, how am I doing at all? Just something to compare.
Yeah. That's
so anyways, Facebook's where I be.
Okay.
Not TikTok.
Not TikTok.
Not on TikTok.
Okay. But you're in a lot of places. I saw you on Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not really on Pinterest and Instagram. Yeah.
You have a presence. I found you there.
I do have a presence. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I not as much as I want, and then it stresses me out.
Yeah. Don't just ignore it. It's fine.
No. Yeah.
So
awesome. And so that is Janie. Where can we be found, Shah?
Can be found at spargirlspodcast.com, and we too are on Facebook. And
not TikTok.
Not TikTok. We need to get someone on who knows about TikTok.
Somebody go on TikTok.
Go on Instagram.
If you're listening to this and you know someone who's on TikTok is good at it, contact the Spark Girls.
An author that's good at it. Not
an author.
An author that's good at it.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a great episode.
We'll invite you on.
You can come and ask questions as well.
That's right. I'll be like, I got questions.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's been
Janie,
great.
It's been amazing having you on and chatting with you today. And for everyone who's been listening, thank you all for listening to another episode of the Spa Girls podcast. We appreciate you coming back every week. We really do. And for now, that is us. Fare thee well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.